You're listening to Keith Sports News. Hey folks, welcome to KSN episode 79 on another Tuesday edition where I talk a lot on what happened this past weekend. Yeah. Might as well be every Tuesdays and Fridays during the NFL's regular season. But maybe I'll do 3 episodes a week, depending on if I want to talk about a certain topic for a while. One episode can be for football. Another episode can be for non-football sports, but it's not going to be this week. If it's 3 episodes a week, then it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay? So it won't be this week. It could be next week. I don't know. Maybe never. I don't know. Well, I've already done a 3-episode week a couple weeks ago because I was talking about the WWE's last premium live event. And yes, they're going to have another one this Saturday. So I might talk about that more on Friday. As you can see, I am sitting at a different location because in front of me is my bedroom TV. Yeah. The last few live streams I've done, I was sitting in here with this TV, you know? Yes, my TV has still been in here ever since, but I'm going to have to move it soon because in this room is the Halloween party. Yeah, every year my parents and I, we have this big crazy Halloween party. So I'm going to have to move to a different room later this month. So yeah. And I'm wearing my NFL shirt because of Monday Night Football. I watched that game because they had the Manning cast. All right. And yeah, I think I already talked about this shirt. This is actually the old NFL logo. Yeah, you might think it's the same. It is the same in a way. The big difference is today's logo only has 8 stars. This logo has a lot more stars. The reason why they changed that, the reason why it's now 4 stars on each side of the football, that represents the divisions. Yeah. But I don't know. I think they made that change about 20 years ago when Roger Goodell took over as the commissioner. But before that, in the old days, this was the logo with a whole bunch of stars. I don't know how many stars are there. I might as well count right now. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And I got this shirt at Old Navy, believe it or not. So, yeah. All right, so what are we going to talk about? Felt like I haven't said that in a while. Let's see here. Once again, I made a list of the things that I want to talk about. There is a lot to talk about again, and I'm going to try not to take too much time. I know the past couple of weeks, a lot of the episodes are long. Some of them were over 2 hours, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion because, not many people have been following the episodes. So that makes me think that I've kind of done most of that talking for nothing. But like I said, my goal, I'm planning to do this for the rest of the year or until after the Super Bowl. because the Super Bowl is like the grand finale for sports, in my opinion, because it's the biggest sporting event of the year, you know. So I don't know how many episodes we'll reach until either the end of this year or the Super Bowl in February, which is 4 months, about 4 months from now. Okay. Super Bowl 60. All right. So here we go. Well, we might as well start off with the NFL like I usually do, because most big sports podcasts, they talk about the NFL first because of that Sunday, you know. All right, so NFL Sunday here. Let me pull out my phone. It's hard to remember everything that happened in the National Football League, but I do remember some. There are some surprises, more surprises in the NFL. This season so far has had quite a bit of surprises. Normally college football has a lot more surprises, but I think right now, I think the NFL has more surprises. Okay, so the Minnesota Vikings, they stayed in Europe. I don't know why. I think a lot of people don't like that. The same team had to play back-to-back games in Europe. I did not watch that because I usually stay up late anyways. I don't wake up real early. The game was in London. They took on the Cleveland Browns and they won 21-17. I don't know if J.J. McCarthy was playing or not. This is crazy. These two teams, these two 1-3 teams. No one thought these two teams would be 1-3 when these two teams faced each other. The Houston Texans against the Baltimore Ravens. Holy crap. The Texans crushed the Ravens on the road, 44-10. That's crazy. However, Lamar Jackson was not playing. But still, 44-10? That is unbelievable. Who would have thought the Texans would win by 34 points? And this is the team, the Ravens. Most people pick this team not only to go to the Super Bowl, but to win the Super Bowl. Luckily, I didn't. I picked the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC. But my gosh, the Ravens are now 1-4. The team that could have or should have beaten the Buffalo Bills on that first Sunday Night Football game. They're 1-4. Their season could be over. I'm not going to say it's over quite yet, but if they lose another game, if they lose their next game, their season might be over. Wow. The Houston Texans are now 2-3. But yeah, I mean, again, before this game happened, both of these teams were 1-3. No one thought these two teams would be 1-3 before this game occurred. How about the Aints? Wow, the Aints got a victory. Their first win against the New York Giants. The same Giants team that somehow beat the Los Angeles Chargers. After I saw the Giants beat the Chargers in week 4, I'm like, uh-oh, they might beat the Saints. But I wasn't quite sure. Kind of thought it would go either way. I forgot. Did I make my prediction for that game? I think I might have picked Giants, but the Giants lost by 12 points. The Saints got their first victory. The game was in New Orleans. Um, yeah. And Russell Wilson was not playing in that game. I don't know if he'll ever play another game in his career. Uh, it was Jackson Dart. Spencer Rattler had a great game. It was a great win for the Saints. The next game, the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, lost their first game against the Denver Broncos. That was surprising to me because not only Philadelphia was the home team, but I thought they were a much better team than the Denver Broncos. But here is the biggest key factor in this game. Listen to this here. The Eagles were up 17-3. Okay, in the third quarter. The fourth quarter, it was all Broncos. Eagles did not score any points. So Broncos got a touchdown in the fourth quarter, 17-10. Then they got another touchdown, but instead of tying the game, they went for the 2-point conversion and they made it. So they were up 18-17, and with about a minute left, they kicked a field goal to make it 21-17 instead of 20-17. If the score would have been 20-17, then the Eagles would have settled for the tying field goal and the game would have gone into overtime. But that did not happen. Wow. That's some big news right there. I'm going by the list on the ESPN app. Whatever it's showing first, I'm going down the list here. The Jets. Jets. Same old Jets. They lost at home to a not so good of a team, the Dallas Cowboys. Was it a close loss? No, it was not. They lost by 15 points. I really thought the Jets would win. Oh my gosh. I mean, let's take a look. Let's see here. Yeah, the Jets were playing at home against the Cowboys, and they didn't win. Their other losses were close losses, except for the Buffalo loss, their second game. But they lost to the Steelers, their first game, by 2 points. They lost to the Buccaneers by 2 points in their third game. The fourth game, they lost to the Dolphins by 6 points. So I'm like, okay, the Jets, they're not getting clobbered every game. This game, they got smashed by 15 points. At home to the Dallas Cowboys? Wow. I mentioned this before, I'll say it again. There's this YouTuber that I followed. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan. His name is Dan Conti. And he would upload a video of his reaction to parts of the game. And all he said was, man, the Jets are trash. They are a trash team. And after that game, they are a trash team. How do you lose at home to a mediocre Cowboys team? Wow. it was 30-3. The Cowboys were winning 30-3 in the third quarter. That is unacceptable for the Jets. Unacceptable. So they remain winless. And I was listening to the Mike Francesa podcast. And Mike Francesa, he talks mainly New York sports, just like the Michael Kay show. And he was saying, oh my gosh, the Jets are going to lose more games down the road. Let's take a look at the rest of their schedule. This Sunday, they're heading to London. They have a London game against the Denver Broncos. That's a loss. They're going to be 0-6 after that game. Then they're going to be hosting the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers have gotten better. That's a home game. They might win that game, but they can also lose that game. Then they go to at the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, they have a somewhat of a chance to win that game because the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow. Then they're hosting the Cleveland Browns. They got to beat the Browns. If they don't beat the Browns, they're probably going to lose every single game. But Mike Francesa says this team will probably be either 2-10 or 1-11 after 12 games. So they might beat the Panthers. They might beat the Browns. But it won't be easy. Oh, they're going to be facing the Saints. The 1-4 Saints. But that's not going to be until December 21st. Man, after Aaron Rodgers left, just when we thought that this Jets team might get better after those close losses, they're falling apart now. Same old Jets. That's a shame. How about the Indianapolis Colts crushing the Vegas Raiders 40-6? Wow, this team is on a mission. Daniel Jones. Isn't that crazy? After he left the Giants, he's gotten so much better. So that's great for the Indianapolis Colts. The Carolina Panthers, they beat the Miami Marlins by a field goal, 27-24. This game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Seattle Seahawks. Both teams were wearing their throwback uniforms, and I really like that. I like when teams wear their throwback uniforms. I'm not sure what the reason why these two teams decided to wear their throwback uniforms. Maybe it was like a special anniversary or something, but the game was in Seattle. It was a close game. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers held on to a 38-35 victory. And man, the Buccaneers, they're going to win the NFC South. Most likely they're going to win the NFC South again. They're 4-1. The Buccaneers are 4-1. And a lot of their wins are close wins. Listen to this. They beat the Atlanta Falcons 23-20. They beat the Houston Texans 20-19. They beat the New York Jets 29-27. Okay, so 3 close wins. And they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles by 6 points, 31-25. And they beat the Seattle Seahawks by a field goal, 38-35. Wow, this team is 4-1. Wow, they're going to be taking on the San Francisco 49ers. 2 4-1 teams. Wow. All right. This game, Tennessee Titans against the Arizona Cardinals. This game will be remembered from that Arizona player was supposed to score a touchdown, right? No, he fumbles the ball right before he scores. Right before he goes into the end zone, he fumbles the ball. Why does this still happen? The Cardinals were up 21-3. And they somehow lost. The Cardinals should have won that game. All thanks to that idiot losing the football as he's about to score a touchdown. Had he scored that touchdown, the Cardinals would have won. The Tennessee Titans should not have won that game. Sorry, Titans fans. Y'all got very lucky. All thanks to that. I forgot what his name is, but when I saw that play, I'm like, are you kidding me? He is the reason why the Cardinals lost. He is. He's the reason. Stupid mistakes can cost you the game sometimes. Oh my goodness gracious. And of course, the Titans, they kicked the game-winning field goal, make it 22-21. Otherwise, Cardinals should have had 28 points. It would have been pretty much impossible for the Titans to come back. Somehow they won when they really should have lost. Unbelievable. That happens. Something like that still happens to this day. Somehow the Washington Commanders beat the Los Angeles Chargers 27-10 on the road. Wow, what the heck happened to this Chargers team? And Jaden Daniels was not playing. Or wait, he was. He actually was. Never mind. I thought he wasn't. Well, that just shows you that this team is so much better. The Commanders are so much better with Jaden Daniels. This is why the quarterback is so important. Seriously. Remember, the Commanders, they went to the NFC Championship game last season. The Detroit Tigers took care of business against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati, but no Joe Burrow. What if Joe Burrow was playing? It would have been a pretty interesting game. I bet a lot of people didn't watch that game because Joe Burrow wasn't playing. The Lions won 37-24. And then Sunday Night Football, the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. Why did I have two questions, really. Number one, this is the Bills' third home night game, and it's only week 5? What? What kind of schedule is this? They can't spread out the prime time games? And they have another prime time game next Monday night. Except it's on the road. But still, they don't want to spread out the night games? What are they thinking? They're not the Super Bowl champions. My other question is, why in the hell were they wearing all white? What the heck is that? What was that all about? And also, a lot of the fans were wearing white as well. Must be some type of special night in Buffalo or something, but what the heck? I don't like that. You know who else doesn't like that? Tony Kornheiser. Now, he's old school. I listen to his podcast in the morning. So, somehow, the Patriots won the game. And they were, luckily for them, they were wearing their regular uniforms, as they should. They pull off a big win on the road, 23-20. Which means there are no more undefeated teams. But we have one winless team, the Jets. Oh man, I bet you the Jets, they feel, I bet they are very, very upset. Not only because they lost another game, but they found out that they are now the only winless team. After the Saints and the Titans, they finally won their first games. Even though the Titans, they really should have lost that game. I'm sorry, they should have lost that game. And then finally, it's Trevor Lawrence's birthday. Happy birthday to Trevor Lawrence. Yep. Yeah. It was actually Trevor Lawrence's birthday, and I did not know that until after the game ended. Trevor Lawrence turned 26 years old. Let me tell you something about Trevor Lawrence before I talk about that game. I obviously remember him when he played for Clemson. My gosh. This guy, he's the greatest. Let me just say this straight up. The best Clemson quarterback ever. Okay? I forget. I don't know if he came in right after Deshaun Watson, because I think Watson got drafted in 2017. I want to say he got drafted in 2017, but back in 2017, Lawrence wasn't the Clemson quarterback yet, but I think he went to Clemson in 2018. But his most well-known game was in the national championship game in 2019 against Alabama in that blowout. The most surprised blowout game. I remember Chris Fowler, he said at the time, that kid cannot be 19 years old. He's like a 10-year NFL veteran quarterback. I remember he said that. Yeah. Unreal. He's a beast. He's big. He's a big man. Seriously. So he has that advantage. You know, you got guys like Russell Wilson, who's a lot smaller, you know. But for Trevor Lawrence, oh my gosh. I remember the following season, the 2019 season, in the playoff, they were playing, Clemson was facing Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. And I remember that play where Trevor Lawrence, he scored a touchdown and he ran far. Like, he oh my goodness, like he could not get stopped. That was nuts. And then in the national championship game in 2020, we got the Tiger Bowl. That was exciting for me. Clemson, Trevor Lawrence against LSU and Joe Burrow. That was a great game. And yeah, man, what a great time for college football back then. That's crazy, man. That was over 5 years ago. And Joe Burrow got drafted in 2020. the 2020 NFL draft, the COVID year, and Lawrence got drafted in 2021. All right. So, yeah, it was Trevor Lawrence's birthday. Turned 26. Recent years, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not a good team, but now they are. They are a great team. Last week, they're showing, I'm looking at my TV is on. They're showing a Trevor Lawrence quarterback of Adidas. Yeah, I'm on MLB Network. I tuned into MLB Network because of the playoff games before I started recording this. It's like, coincidentally, hey, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. The only game I really watched was the Monday night game, only because the Manning cast. Without the Manning cast, I probably wouldn't be watching that game. I probably would have watched the MLB postseason games instead. But the Manning cast were on for this game. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes against Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Now here's something interesting. Here's something that's pretty cool. They had the old Jaguars logo on the field. Yeah. The old Jaguars logo on the field and on the helmets. And I thought that's really cool. But on the score bug, they didn't have the old logo on the score bug. It's their current logo. Both logos are great. But it's funny because I actually do remember the old Jaguars logo because I used to play Madden NFL 13, and it had the old Jaguars logo on their score bug. So I'm not sure when they changed the Jaguars logo, but they're both good. Same with the Dolphins logo. I like the old Dolphins logo. For those of you that remember what it looked like, the dolphin had like a helmet on, and it's like smiling. I don't know when they changed that, but I do like that logo as well. So yeah, this game, I thought this game was close. This game was close. The Chiefs were up 14-0. And I forget if this was before the 14-0 score or after the 14-0 score. But Trevor Lawrence was about to score a touchdown, right? Basically what he did was he tried to leap over the end zone and somehow he fumbled the ball. I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh. Wow. And I'm pretty sure that was before the Chiefs made the score 14-0. But after that score, I'm like, I think the Chiefs are going to win. But no, the Jaguars scored the next 3 touchdowns. They tied the game, 21 apiece. They took the lead. It was tied 14-14, and then, with about 2 minutes left in the third quarter, Devin Lloyd with a 99 interception return. Can you believe that? Against the Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah. A 99 interception return. Holy crap. Yeah, the Chiefs were about to score, and somehow the Jaguars ran the ball all the way back, and they took the lead. That is the highlight of that's the highlight of the game right there. Then the Chiefs, they tied the game at 21 apiece, and Cam Little, the Jaguars kicker, the kicker that kicked the longest NFL field goal in preseason, but unfortunately it didn't count because it was in preseason. He kicked a 52-yard field goal. Yeah, that was the only field goal in the game. And then with under 2 minutes, Chiefs scored again, touchdown to make it 28-24. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if the Jaguars can come back. But with 23 seconds left, Trevor Lawrence scored after he fell down. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence fell down. His butt hit the turf. Normally in college football, when you're down, you're down. But in pro football, you have to be touched. Luckily, no one touched him, so he got back up and he scored. He went into the end zone. That was exciting. Like, oh my gosh, when do you normally see a play like that? Quarterback falls down without getting touched, but he gets right back up and he goes into the end zone. And the Jaguars took a 31-28 lead with 23 seconds. But then I thought to myself, wait a second. The Chiefs have 3 timeouts. Somehow they're going to tie the game with 23 seconds left, just like they did against the Buffalo Bills in that playoff game a couple years ago. But no, that did not happen. However, the Chiefs, they got the ball. They tried to return the kickoff, and they got some pretty good yardage, but there was a flag for holding, so they had to go back, and that was pretty much the game right there. So yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars with a huge win for the Jags on Trevor Lawrence's birthday. The Jaguars are now 4-1. The Chiefs are 2-3. I'm not going to count out the Chiefs yet. Their season is not over yet. Unlike the Ravens. Somehow the Chiefs, they're going to sneak into the playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, Jim Mora. By the way, speaking of that guy is 90 years old and he looks fantastic. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So let's take a look at the standings real quick. So after week 5, AFC East, the Buffalo Bills are leading that division 4-1, followed by the New England Patriots 3-2. AFC North, the Steelers, who did not play because they were in London last week, so that's kind of a good idea to use that bye before or after the London games. They're winning their division. They're 3-1. AFC South, we got both the Colts and the Jaguars at 4-1. And here's what's interesting: those two teams will not play each other until they're not playing each other anytime soon until December 7. Yeah. That is interesting. And then they'll face each other again on December 28th. Isn't that weird? Like, I remember this happens to, like, some teams. A team will face one of their division opponents twice in 3 weeks. But some teams, they'll face a division opponent in week 1, and then they won't face that same team again until week 18 or 17. Isn't that weird how they make this schedule? AFC West, both the Chargers and the Broncos are 3-2. NFC East, the Eagles, they're winning 4-1. They're 4-1. The Commanders are 3-2. NFC North, the Lions are leading that division. They're 4-1. Followed by the Packers. They're 2-1-1, and then the Vikings 3-2. Okay, excuse me while I plug in my charger of the laptop. It's a good thing I have it. Okay. NFC South, the Buccaneers, they're 4-1. They're most likely going to win that division. NFC West, The San Francisco 49ers, they remain 4-1, even though they don't have quarterback Brock Purdy. The Cardinals, they should be 3-2. Instead, they're 2-3. So what was the biggest surprise? Was it in week 5? Was it the 49ers beating the Rams on the road? That was a surprise I think, for a lot of people. Was it the Texans crushing the Ravens 44-10? Was it the Eagles and the Bills losing their first home games, their first games, which were at home? The Jets, same old Jets, remain winless. Or was it the Tennessee Titans? That's where people were. I was listening to podcasts. I'll tell you what the podcasts that I listen to. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I can't listen to all of them in one day because there's so many of them. But the ones that I listened to were Tony Kornheiser. Then I listened to the Mike Francesa podcast. Then the Dan Patrick Show. And then Shine on Sports with Adam Shine. So today I'm going to listen to Katie Nolan, Stephen A. Smith, Mad Dog Russo, The Rich Eisen Show, and The Michael Kay Show because the New York Yankees are playing tonight. They're facing elimination. I will get into the baseball playoffs in just a little bit, but let's stay with football because we're going to talk about college football next. That's what I usually do. Week 6. I didn't watch too many games. There wasn't that many big games. I'll tell you what game I watched. The first game I watched was the Clemson North Carolina game. The only reason why I watched that game was because of the two head coaches. Dabo Swinney, 1-3. Okay. Against Bill Belichick. I think North Carolina was 2-3 when this game took place. The game was in North Carolina, and my gosh, Clemson crushed the Tar Heels, and they did. The first play of the game was a touchdown. I saw that. Oh my gosh. I'm like, wow. Okay. They scored 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. I'm like, where the heck was this Clemson team against Georgia Tech, against Syracuse? Or is North Carolina that bad? Seems like North Carolina was better when they had Mac Brown. They're falling apart. So yeah, I at halftime I tuned out of the game. I tuned out of the game because the one of the baseball playoff games came on. My gosh. You know, it's funny how Bill Belichick, he's kind of back to his old self at the press conferences. It's pretty funny. The way he just talks at the press conferences. They better not fire Dabo Swinney. I'm going to be upset if they fire him because I've always liked him. And he's clearly the best Clemson coach ever. The only head coach to beat Nick Saban twice in the national championship game. Come on now. He mentioned that I think his team was 1-3 like 15 years ago or something like that. Yeah, he's been the Clemson head coach since 2008 or 2009. So he's kind of an old school coach now, been around for that long. All right, so I watched that game, or at least half of the game. All right, let's see these scores here. I did watch college football final, but it's hard to remember these scores, because there's so many games. Um, let's see here. Ohio State, the number one team in the country. They crushed Minnesota 42-3. The second game that I was looking forward to was the second game in the SEC game on ABC. Vanderbilt against Alabama. Why? Because of the result from last season, where Vanderbilt upset Alabama. Alabama was the number one team at the time. Yeah, Vanderbilt upset number one Alabama the week after Alabama beat Georgia. So it happened. So yeah, Bama and Vanderbilt, they meet again the week after Alabama beat Georgia again. This time the game was in Tuscaloosa, and I don't see this happening again back-to-back seasons. I think the last program team that beat Bama back-to-back seasons, I think it was Ole Miss in 2014 and 2015. Back when they had Chad Kelly. Yep. Yeah. But this time, Bama got revenge on Vanderbilt. They won 30-14. Now this game was on at the same time as the Vanderbilt-Bama game. Number 9 Texas against unranked Florida. Now, I woke up early that Saturday because I wanted to watch SEC Nation. And I really thought that they were going to the Vanderbilt-Bama game. But apparently, College Game Day was there. But I thought for sure that Game Day was going to the Miami-Florida State game. I wonder why. I think I know why. I think the reason why Game Day wasn't at the Miami-Florida State game was because Florida State lost to Virginia in Week 5. What if Florida State were to beat Virginia? Would Game Day still go to the Vanderbilt-Alabama game? I don't think so. I think they would still go to the Miami-Florida State game. And then SEC Nation would have gone to the Vanderbilt-Alabama game. See, that's the thing. Game Day and Nation, they don't want to go to the same location. Unless if it's the SEC championship game or the playoffs. That's it. But the regular season, they don't want to go to the same locations, which that's understandable. That's understandable. Obviously, Game Day is the number one show, even though it's not the same for me anymore. That's why I'm permanently switching. I'm permanently watching SEC Nation. Plus, I'm a SEC football junkie anyways. I live in the Southeast, so that's that. Plus, that's more entertaining for me. So SEC Nation was at the Texas-Florida game. And Florida's not a good team. They only had one win. And their one win, I'm pretty sure it was against a little team. Let me check real quick. Florida's one win before entering this game. Yeah, they beat Long Island 55-0. They lost to... what was their first? Oh, that was their first game. Their first game was a win. Then they lost to at home against South Florida, 18-16. Then they lost to at LSU, 20-10. And then they lost to Miami, 26-7. Then they get a bye. A lot of teams, I forgot Florida had a bye. A lot of times when teams get a bye, they make changes especially when they're losing and they're struggling. And that's exactly what Florida did, because Florida upset Texas 29-21. I got that game wrong. I picked Texas to win. Even though the game was in Gainesville. Florida. And Arch Manning did not play very well. People are saying that this is not the Arch Manning that we're expecting, you know. We thought Arch would play much better. Now Texas has 2 losses. And this weekend is the Red River Showdown. Texas against Oklahoma, that's always a big game. And Oklahoma's a good team. So that was an upset. Speaking of upsets, in the Big Ten, was this the 2:30 p.m. CBS game? I think it was. I think Gary Danielson was at this game. Number 7 Penn State lost to an 0-4 UCLA team. What? How does that happen? Okay, yeah. The week before, week 4, Penn State was in a tough game against Oregon. They lost at home in overtime. Okay. The following week, which was last week, you bounce back. You're supposed to win that game against UCLA. They lost. And you know how ESPN, they do their prediction, their matchup predictor? Penn State had like a 92% chance right when the game started. What the heck? That is unbelievable. Yeah, it was the 2:30 p.m. Central game on CBS. That means Gary Danielson was on the call here. At halftime, UCLA was up 27-7. What the heck happened to Penn State? Penn State never took the lead. This team has no excuses for this loss whatsoever. James Franklin cannot win the big games for whatever reason against a top 5 team. Now you lose to an 0-4 UCLA team? That's the upset of the year, I think. Yeah, it's got to be. A winless UCLA team beat the number 7 team in the country. James Franklin is probably on the hot seat now. Remember, Penn State was in the semifinals last year. That's the upset of the year. That is crazy. Oh, every Monday, Gary Danielson would be on Mad Dog Russo's show. I'm going to hear what he has to say. Yep. Because that is insane. How about Texas A&M? They might be the best SEC team. They crushed Mississippi State 31-9. How about Texas Tech? They might be the best Big 12 team. They crushed Houston 35-11. Remember, Oklahoma and Texas are no longer in the Big 12. Georgia bounced back after their loss against Bama. I knew they would beat Kentucky, and they beat them pretty easily too, 35-14. I think they beat Kentucky every year since I think 2009. And I heard that Mark Stoops is probably on the hot seat now because Kentucky is not having a good season so far. This was a big win. Cincinnati beat number 14 Iowa State 38-30. I got that game wrong. I heard Iowa State's a great team, so that's why I picked them to win, even though it was on the road, but they lost. Michigan got a They won their game against Wisconsin 24-10. Illinois. Remember a couple weeks ago, Illinois got crushed by Indiana, which I still cannot believe that. They beat Purdue 43-27, but usually Purdue is not a good team. After upsetting Florida State, Virginia won again against Louisville. Louisville was undefeated at the time, even though they weren't ranked. Virginia, on the road, beat Louisville in overtime 30-27. So there we go. The last game, the biggest game in Week 6 in the state of Florida was Miami against Florida State in Tallahassee. I did not watch this game. I did not watch that game, actually. It was a big game for the state of Florida, just like when Miami faced Florida. Isn't that crazy? Miami faced both Florida and Florida State. I did check the score while it was happening. And my gosh, how about the Hurricanes? The Hurricanes are now one of the best teams in the country. It was 28-3 with under 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, Florida State got 2 touchdowns with a 2-point conversion. So it was 28-19. Then they got a field goal with 20 seconds to go to make it 28-22. But this game was not close at all. This game was not close. And I actually picked Miami to win. I did pick Miami to win. They are a better team than Florida State. And I'm like, Florida State, they might not bounce back after that Virginia loss, even though the game was at home and they didn't. Wow. What if Florida State loses again? What if their season just starts collapsing? Wow. Oh my gosh. Some people have Florida State winning the ACC, but now it's probably going to be Miami. Now let's check the rankings. This is my first time looking at the rankings. My prediction, let's see here. Before I look at the rankings, let's see here. Wait. Hold on a second. Before I look at the rankings, the biggest story, it's clearly Penn State losing to an 0-4 UCLA team. That is bigger than Florida beating Texas. It is. Penn State's ranking dropped big time. They might be out of the rankings. Or maybe they might be number 25, but they dropped big time. They have no excuses whatsoever. Let's take a look here. Out of the rankings. Oh my gosh! Both Penn State and Texas are out of the top 25. I wasn't sure they were going to be out of the top 25. I mean, listen, Penn State was number 7 and Texas was number 9. They're out of the top 25. Wow. So what are they, number 26 and number 27? I don't remember seeing something like this where 2 top 10 teams out of the top 25. My gosh. I'll have to hear what Scott Van Pelt and Stanford Steve have to say. They have a podcast called SV Pod, where they'll recap college football and the NFL. I mainly listen to their college football recap because a lot of people recap the NFL. I'll have to listen to the Paul Feinbaum show. By the way, speaking of Paul Feinbaum, I heard that he's getting a lot of hate. What the heck? And I heard that he's considering running for Alabama senator? What the heck? That'd be crazy. I'll definitely listen to his show. That's another show I must listen to either today or tomorrow. Okay, let's see here. Florida State is still in the top 25, but they are number 25. They dropped down 7 spots. They're 3-2. Number 24 is UCF, South Florida. They're ranked for the first time this season. Same with Memphis, number 23. They're 6-0. Number 22 is Iowa State. They went down 8 spots. 21 is Arizona State. They went up 4 spots. 20 is Vanderbilt. They went down 4 spots. 19 is Virginia. They went up 5 spots. I don't know about that. I mean, they got a big win at Louisville, but it was by a field goal in overtime. I don't know about them going up 5 spots. But they're 5-1. They're number 19. Number 18 is BYU. They're undefeated, 5-0. They went up 5 spots. Number 17 is Illinois. They also went up 5 spots. They're 5-1. Number 16 is Notre Dame. They also went up 5 spots. They're 3-2. Number 15 is Michigan. They also went up 5 spots. They're 4-1. What the heck? Number 14, Missouri. They're undefeated, 5-0. They also went up 5 spots. What is this? What kind of ranking system is this? Number 13 is Georgia Tech. They're 5-0, but they went up 4 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 teams went up 5 spots. Wow. I don't think that's ever happened before. That is crazy. Number 12 is Tennessee. They're 4-1. They went up 3 spots. Number 11 is LSU. They did not play last week, but they went up 2 spots. Number 10 is Georgia. They're 4-1. They went up 2 spots. Number 9 is Texas Tech. They're 5-0. They went up 2 spots. Number 8 is Alabama. They're 4-1, up 2 spots. Number 7 is Indiana. They're 5-0, up 1 spot. Number 6 is Oklahoma. They're 5-0. Somehow they went down 1 spot. They shut out Kent State, but that doesn't mean anything. Number 5 is A&M. They're 5-0, up 1 spot. Number 4 is Ole Miss. Maybe Ole Miss is the best SEC team. They're number 4. Number 3 is Oregon. They're 5-0. They went down 1 spot. Number 2 is Miami. They went up 1 spot. Okay, number 1 is Ohio State. I wonder if Ole Miss and A&M will play each other. Let's see here. Let's look. I'm looking at Ole Miss's schedule. That's weird. They have to face Washington State their next game, but on October the 11th. But the following week, on October 18th, they take on Georgia at Georgia. That's a must-watch game. The 25th, they take on Oklahoma. Oklahoma's also undefeated. Let's see. Nope, they're not facing A&M. Is Oklahoma, are they facing A&M? Let's see Oklahoma's schedule real quick. They have to face Tennessee on the road on November the 1st. And then they go to Alabama. That's another big one on the 15th of November. No, they don't face A&M. Okay. Who knows? Ole Miss and A&M? Perhaps the 2 best teams in the SEC? That could be the SEC championship game. And yeah, those 2 programs have never been to the SEC championship game. So that'll be pretty exciting if that is going to be the SEC championship game. Wow. All right. This episode's already over an hour. Now it's a quick recap of the CFL. I believe there were only 3 games this past weekend. There were only 3 games this past weekend. I was watching some of the Friday night game. Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Ottawa Red Blacks. The Roughriders won 20-13. I knew they would win that game. The Red Blacks are officially eliminated from the playoffs. Saturday afternoon, the Hamilton Tiger Cats scored 47 points against the Toronto Argonauts, 29 points. I didn't watch this game live, but I watched a late night replay on TSN 2. Yeah, I did. I stayed up all night watching that game. I was actually, from a Montreal Alouettes fan, I was actually cheering for the Argonauts only because that way the Alouettes can catch up to the Tiger Cats in the East Division. But that did not happen. The Tiger Cats won, so that means the Argonauts are officially eliminated from the playoffs. Wow. Grey Cup champions are eliminated. And, it was cool. They had, I believe they had Jim Kelly, who used to play for the Buffalo Bills and the Toronto Argonauts. But I think he also, there was another player. Was it, I forgot who it was. Who was the other? Was it Doug Flutie? Did Doug Flutie play for the Argonauts? I know he played for the CFL. He did. Okay. They had Doug Flutie and Jim Kelly at the game. So that was awesome. Yeah, some Toronto Argonauts fans. Some of them were wearing Buffalo Bills jerseys because that's the closest NFL team for them. Okay. Yeah. Tiger Cats scored a lot of points after they got crushed by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers the previous week. The third and final game, I was thinking about watching that game, but I actually got spoiled by Google. The Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions. The Lions won 38-24. I did pick the Lions to win that game. All right, the standings. The East Division, the Tiger Cats, 10 wins, 6 losses. Alouettes, 8 wins, 7 losses. So they're both in the playoffs. But it's not official. It's not official on which one of those two teams will have home field advantage. In the West Division, most likely, the Rough Riders, I think they have officially clinched that home field advantage. They are 11-4. The Lions are 9-7, and both the Stampeders and the Blue Bombers are 8-7. Oh boy, that is interesting. Okay. We're getting closer to the end of the regular season. We have 3 more weeks to go in the regular season. So the first weekend in November, which is that Saturday, that'll be the beginning of the CFL playoffs. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. Okay, so football talk is over for KSN episode 79. Well, actually, not quite. Not quite yet. This is a crazy story because thankfully I'm looking at my list because without this list I probably would have forget to talk about this. We got some breaking news. This is crazy because I get ESPN notifications and I would just get like unexpected breaking news. This is about former NFL quarterback and current NFL on Fox analyst Mark Sanchez. He has been hospitalized after a stabbing incident in Indianapolis. So I was reading about him, and I'm going to read this out loud. This is from the Wikipedia article from his personal life. Okay, here it is. Listen to this. On October 4, 2025, so that was a Saturday, right? Sanchez was stabbed during an altercation in downtown Indianapolis at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Reports indicate that he was rushed to a local hospital where he was reportedly in critical condition. Photos released show a large gash across the cheek of the truck driver Sanchez had an alleged altercation with. Sanchez was later arrested, initially on charges of battery with injury, unlawful entry of a motor vehicle, and public intoxication. All misdemeanors. The next day, the battery charge was upgraded to a felony. Isn't this crazy news? There's more. According to police reports, Sanchez was harassing a 69-year-old worker disposing restaurant grease into a truck. Though the man pepper sprayed him, Sanchez continued threatening the man, leading to his stabbing. Local news organizations released images of the other man suffering his own injuries in the altercation. Sanchez was in Indianapolis to cover the Colts game against the Las Vegas Raiders for Fox Sports the following day. Brady Quinn, another former NFL quarterback turned college football studio analyst for the network, was brought in to replace him after the incident. While Fox personalities publicly addressed the matter in the lead up to coverage of its Week 5 games, the network has made no decision on Sanchez's future as an analyst. Oh my goodness gracious. Can you believe this news? Sometimes I would hear Mark Sanchez as a guest on one of my favorite podcasts. Oh my gosh. I remember when he played for the New York Jets. Remember that butt fumble? That butt fumble. On Thanksgiving 2012, I think it was. And that was the night game on NBC. Wow. So he got stabbed and then he goes to the hospital and later gets arrested? That is nuts. It's now a felony charge, battery. Wow. First of all, I hope he's okay. I mean, someone getting stabbed, that's no fun. Oh my gosh. He's probably not going to come back to call him whatever his next scheduled Fox game. I'm not sure who is his partner, the play-by-play man. I don't know. But wow, this news came out of nowhere. I don't know if any of the podcasts that I listened to, they mentioned Mark Sanchez, but they didn't dove deep into details about this incident. They just said, what the heck happened to Mark Sanchez? And that was it. They moved on. So I'm sure, I guess more people are going to talk about this story. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. Well, I hope he's okay. I wish him a recovery because it says he's in critical condition. Ay, ay, ay. All right, let's move on now to the MLB postseason. It is the divisional series. All right, so let's go back to Saturday because somehow there was no games on Friday, which is really stupid in my opinion. Yeah, let's have all four. Let's have all four division games, division series on a college football Saturday. So, Saturday was game one for all four division series. Sunday, it was game two for the American League Division Series. But the National League Division Series, they didn't play game two on Sunday. And I guess the reason why was because it's NFL Sunday. So they had a day off. And Monday was game two of the National League Division Series, which means they get another day off because they have to travel. It's been like this for the past couple of seasons, you know. So, anyways, the first game I believe was the first game on Saturday. I believe was the Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers game one. I think this game came on at 1 p.m. on TBS. And somehow, TBS has the same score bug. After all these years, it's the same score bug. I made a KSN update short of me giving my thoughts on TBS not changing their score bug. And I got some hate comments, which was kind of surprising because it seems like no one really keeps up with, not many people keep up with this channel. But some of the shorts I've done, they've got quite a bit of views, as well as the live streams of me watching sports, but the regular KSN episodes, no. So, my problem with this score bug is, number one, it's too small, and number two, they've had this for many years. Like normally a score bug's life is about 4 years. They've had this score bug for 7 years. Why won't they change it? And this score bug it's too small. That's my only problem with it. It's like you have to sit close to the TV, which I am right now. I'm sitting close to my TV screen right now. And I'll show you how close I'm sitting. Right now, it's still showing MLB Network. See, look, it's showing MLB Network right now. Look how little that score bug is. You see that? Look how little that is. It's like you have to sit close to the TV screen to see the numbers. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that bothered me. Yeah, I don't know why it's the same. And another thing is that it's docked to the top of the screen. It used to not be like that, right? Whatever. They got some pretty good announcers. Much better than Fox, in my opinion. However, I will say this. Fox, they also didn't change their score bug. I thought they would because in 2021, they debuted their current score bug. And their score bug before that one was in 2017. So they changed their score bug in 2017 and 2021. Okay, so I'm like, I guess they're going to change it every 4 years. So here we are 4 years later in 2025. They didn't change it. And you know what? I'm not surprised. I had a feeling that they weren't going to change it. Same with TBS. I had a feeling that they also wouldn't change it, but they didn't. But I'm going to say this, and this is, you guys think I'm so weird for talking about this, because like, why are you talking about a score bug? It's just a score. It shows the scores and the stats. Why are you complaining? Because I can, okay? Hey, people were complaining about that, the new Fox NFL score bug at the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, you know? But, I can now say that the TBS score bug is worse than Fox's score bug. Mainly because they've had theirs longer than Fox, and TBS's score bug is smaller than Fox's. I don't like Fox's score bug either. It looks ugly, but at least it's big enough for me to look at the numbers. That's the only good thing about that score bug. It's big enough. It's not too small. That's the only good thing about it. Otherwise, I don't like it. It looks ugly. The score bug before that, it was perfect. Now it seems like score bugs and graphics now, a lot of them suck. What happened? In the 2010s, pretty much all the graphics and score bugs I saw in the 2010s were great. What happened? I know, right? Even the 2000 score bugs were great back then. And in the old days, there was no score bug. Which means you have to listen and pay attention to the games, you know? Anyways, let's now talk about the games itself. Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers, Game 1. The question was, these are the four home teams. The question was, how would these four home teams play after being off for 5-6 days? That was the question, okay? So, it's funny. As soon as I did that KSN update short of the new TBS score bug, right? And as soon as that short ended, the Cubs hit a home run in the top of the first. And I'm like, uh-oh, okay. But then, oh my gosh, in the bottom of the first inning, the Brewers scored 6 runs. My gosh. Wow. In the postseason? And then they scored 3 more in the second inning. 9-1 after 2 innings. Well, that answered my question. Clearly, the Brewers they proved why they are the best team with the most wins. And the bye clearly helped the Brewers. Maybe the Brewers will not choke for once in the postseason. Although I did pick them to lose against the Cubs in this division series. So wow, they took care of business. Okay. Should I talk about Game 2 next? No, let's stay with Saturday's games. The next game that came on was the New York Yankees Toronto Blue Jays game. This game was on Fox, but I didn't have to watch it on Fox. I put it on Sportsnet because you know what's really cool? Toronto Blue Jays, they get to have their own broadcast during the postseason. That's awesome. So lucky for me, I have Sportsnet. and I listened to Dan Schulman, the great Dan Schulman, called this game. And oh my gosh, the Blue Jays crushed the Yankees. They poured in those runs. They didn't pour in that many runs in the beginning of the first couple of innings, unlike the Brewers, but the 7th and 8th inning, they scored a lot of runs. It was 2-1 after 6 innings. And the Blue Jays, they scored 8 more runs after that to make it 10-1. My goodness. The bye also helped the Blue Jays. And let me tell you something, that atmosphere is always electric whenever Blue Jays play home playoff games. Remember back in 2015, 10 years ago? Oh, that crowd was so loud. And they were loud too. Yeah. I did pick the Blue Jays to win this series. And then the first game in the evening was the Los Angeles Dodgers at the Philadelphia Phillies. They had Shohei Ohtani pitching, and he's already one of the greatest ever. And how about those Dodgers? They went to Philadelphia and they beat the Phillies by a score of 5-3. After being down 3-0, it was 3-0 Phillies after 2 innings. Unreal. Wow. Well, it seems like the bye did not help the Phillies that much. And then the final game was the Detroit Tigers at the Seattle Mariners. First of all, Dodgers Phillies. I did pick the Phillies to win because I have the Phillies in the World Series. Tigers and Mariners. I did pick the Mariners to win this game because towards the end of the regular season, they're a hot team. Same with the Phillies. The Phillies were a hot team towards the end of the regular season. So the Phillies lost game 1, and same with the Mariners. The Mariners also lost game 1, but this was in extra innings, the 11th inning. I did not see this game, but did they have the ghost runner extra inning rule in the postseason? Do they not have that in the postseason, or is it just the World Series that they don't have that rule? I forgot. Yeah, I'll have to check. But this game was close. All right. It went to 11 innings in Seattle. And the Tigers, they won 3-2. The team that almost suffered a huge collapse like the New York Mets. Moving on to Sunday. Listen to this real quick. So game 1, Yankees Blue Jays was on Fox, but Tigers and Mariners was on FS1. And then Sunday, both American League Division Series game 2, they were both on FS1. In my opinion, TBS should be having their games on Sunday because I don't think TBS had anything special on that Sunday. Instead, it was the American League games on FS1. I guess Fox wanted to have a huge Sunday for both the NFL and the MLB, but I don't know. Both games are on FS1 because of NFL Sunday. Game 2 between Yankees and Blue Jays. Let me take a quick drink here. Oh, man. This game, oh my goodness. this was worse than game 1 for the Yankees. The Blue Jays, they were not done. They were not done pouring in those runs. How about that pitcher? You savage. You savage pitched like a savage. And he's younger than me. And this is his first season. He's in the postseason having a crazy performance. Blue Jays kept pouring in those runs on the Yankees. 5-0 after the third inning, and then the bottom of the fourth inning. OMG. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit a grand slam, and I think that was the second grand slam in Blue Jays playoff history. 9-0 after the fourth inning. No. Varsho hit a 2-run homer also in the bottom of the fourth inning to make it 11-0. Bottom of the fifth, George Springer hits another home run. 12-0. Blue Jays. Wow. This team is hot. The bye helped this team. Oh. And then somehow, the seventh inning, the Yankees scored 4 runs. And final score was Blue Jays 13, Yankees 7. That sucks for the Yankees. You scored 7 runs and you didn't win. You lose by 6. That's crazy. Blue Jays are on fire. And good for them. You know, I watch the TSN Sports Center almost every night. And they would be talking about this. Because it means a lot to them, you know. Tigers-Mariners, Game 2. The Mariners won that game 3-2. Okay? So it's a tight battle in that series. I do have the Mariners winning that series, by the way. And then, last night, Dodgers-Phillies, Game 2. By the way, I did not watch either one of these games because I was watching Monday Night Football. I know I could have put on those games on a second TV, but my eyes were locked into that Monday night game. So that's why I tuned in to MLB Network, MLB Tonight, of them breaking down the 2 games. And so Game 2, Dodgers and Phillies. Now this is weird. I really thought that Cubs and Brewers, I thought that game would be on first. But apparently that game was on second. That game started at 8 p.m. That's kind of late. Because I thought that would be the afternoon game. Because I thought we would have like one game in the afternoon and one game prime time. Because I thought it would be like that. I thought we would get Cubs Brewers in the afternoon and Dodgers Phillies prime time. Because Dodgers Phillies is the biggest matchup. But that was not the case. All right, so Dodgers-Phillies Game 2. It was scoreless until the 7th inning. 7th inning, Dodgers scored 4 runs. Wow. They got a huge 7th inning. Blake Snell had a fantastic game for the Dodgers. I remember he was in the World Series in 2020, the COVID year when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays. The Phillies, they tried to come back. They scored one run in the bottom of the 8th, and then the bottom of the 9th, they scored 2 more runs. And man, they had the tie-in the tying batter at home plate. So if he were to hit a 3-run homer, the game would have been tied. But that, oh man, I wish that happened, but that did not happen. And great play by Freddie Freeman. Dodgers held on to win 4-3. They're up 2-0. They won both games in Philly. That is huge. That is huge for the defending World Series champions. And then Cubs and Brewers. This was just like game 1 for both teams. The Cubs got 3 runs in the top of the first. I'm like, okay, well maybe this is their game. No! Brewers tied it up. They tied that game right back up at the bottom of the first inning. 3-3. And they scored more runs. 7-3 the final. Wow. This team is on a mission. This team means business. This team, maybe for once, they're not going to choke. They're also up 2-0, just like the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. We might get 3 sweeps in the division series. Oh man, that'll be kind of unfortunate though, if we get 3 sweeps. You know, I'm talking about for the fans that, you know, their favorite team isn't in the postseason, but they want chaos to happen. Kind of like me, you know. Yeah, let's see here. So today, Tuesday. Okay, so we have an afternoon game, and that is the Mariners at the Tigers, 3 p.m. on FS1. The game tonight, Blue Jays at the Yankees on FS1. It's kind of unfortunate that both games are on FS1 instead of regular Fox, because I don't know how many people have FS1. But yeah. Well, I'm gonna miss the Mariners Tigers game. To be honest, I don't really care which team wins that series. I guess Seattle, because I picked that team to win, and plus the Mariners are the only team that have yet to make the World Series. Yeah. I will watch tonight's game, Blue Jays and Yankees, on Sportsnet. Or I could just listen to Dave Sims, the Yankees radio broadcast. It's obviously a must-win for the Yankees. They are facing elimination. I think they can win tonight's game. And if they're forcing a game 4 on Wednesday night, then they'll have Schlittler pitching. He had a great game last week, but they're saving him for tomorrow night. I think the Yankees can bounce back, but maybe not. Maybe they'll give up. And then tomorrow, all 4 games. We might have all 4 games on tomorrow if the Yankees win tonight. If the Yankees win tonight, that means we are going to get all 4 games tomorrow on Wednesday. And the 4 games tomorrow, Mariners at the Tigers, Game 4 after 2 p.m. Central on FS1. Game 3 between the Brewers and the Cubs in Wrigley Field after 4 p.m. Central on TBS. Blue Jays at Yankees, Game 4, if necessary, after 6 p.m. on FS1. And then Phillies at Dodgers after 8 p.m. Central on TBS. So, we have 3 series where a team is leading 2-0, and we have 1 series tied at 1 game apiece. So, out of the 3 series 2-0. Which one of those has the best chance forcing a Game 5? Well, I do have the Blue Jays winning in Game 5. And I do have the Cubs winning in Game 5 as well. And the Phillies. The Mariners, I actually have that team either sweeping the Tigers or winning in 4 games. But again, we might have 3 sweeps. After the Dodgers beat the Phillies in Philly, the first 2 games, they might sweep the Phillies. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Dodgers are going to sweep the Phillies now because they're now going to LA. I can see the Cubs and the Yankees win 1 game. But maybe not. Maybe not. The only series that can go to 5 games that has the best chance to go 5 games is Mariners and Tigers because that series is split 1 game apiece. I think the Yankees will win tonight to force a Game 4. I think the Tigers will win tonight. Tomorrow, I think the Yankees will also win tomorrow night with Schlittler pitching. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say. But it would be great if we can have all 4 games tomorrow. But if all these, if we get 3 sweeps, that'll be pretty disappointing. Which means we're not going to get games on Friday and Saturday. You know, if we don't get any Game 5s on Friday and Saturday, that would be kind of disappointing. And then Sunday will be Game 1 of the ALCS, and Monday will be Game 1 of the NLCS and Game 2 of the ALCS. So I'll try to keep up with the postseason games. All right. But what the most surprising, I think it's it's got to be Dodgers beating the Phillies on the road the first 2 games. The Dodgers are undefeated. The Dodgers, they might win this thing again. They might. They might go undefeated in the postseason on the road. Texas Rangers, they did that in 2023. All right, to the WNBA, we have the finals currently happening. Friday night was Game 1. The Vegas Aces won that game 89-86. Game 2 was on a Sunday afternoon. Should have been Sunday night, in my opinion. The Aces also won 91-78, so they take a 2-0 lead. Their next game will be tomorrow night in Phoenix. It's a best of 7. First time ever. The WNBA Finals are best of 7. And I picked the Aces to win only because it's Vegas. Vegas wins championships. Just like the Vegas Golden Knights did a couple years ago. All right, let's see here. I'm almost done here. Yep. Tonight, speaking of the Vegas Golden Knights, the NHL season begins tonight. Yeah, on ESPN. Is that their theme song? I think so. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like that. I guess Sean McDonough's going to call one of those games tonight. I think it's going to be I think it's the first game. The Florida Panthers, the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions in action against the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't think I'm going to tune into any of these games tonight because of the Yankees Blue Jays game tonight. But yeah, the NHL season is back already. They have a short off season because they have a long regular season and their postseason's like 2 months, you know? And not too long after, and I think in 2 weeks or so, the NBA regular season will begin. All right, guys, that is it. Wow, an hour and 45 minutes. It actually flew by. I actually enjoyed talking this episode, but I'm hoping more people can check out this episode, but probably not because it's too long. Oh well. See you on Friday. Enjoy more of the postseason baseball and the beginning of the hockey season. Thank you for listening to Keith's Sports News.